memories are a gift from God. We are supported by faith stronger than death and sustained by the knowledge of a life that extends eternally beyond this place. And within that confidence, we're gathered here to celebrate the life of Mickey, a mother, a wife, grandma, a good friend, a church member who served so very faithfully. Would you pray with me, please? Dear God, we thank you for Mickey, a lady who loved and celebrated life. Life is so precious to each of us that it's all within us to say no to death. We see it as an end, but it's not, it's a beginning. It's not a wall, but it's a doorway, a path that leads to eternal light and life. Life is a gift from your dear Father. Thank you for sharing this special person's life with us. We will cherish her memory forever. Amen. We are going to focus on Psalms 23 this morning. I know that this psalm is used frequently in a setting as this, but we're going to talk about why it's used so frequently. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters, and he restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Here we are, facing a time in our lives when it's hard. I know that. Every life is precious to us. The psalmist is read quite frequently, as I said, but it's not by accident. It's not just because there's not another psalm to read. It's because it provides a word of hope that goes beyond the limits of life into the shadows which appear for everyone at one point in time. We're going to concentrate on verse 4. Now, David was the author, and he carefully chose each word as he described death. It's not a word wasted. He pointed us to the only care at the time. Our Father cares for us. He talked of a walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Of all the possible places, the psalmist selected the visual image of a valley. It's not a description of a lighted sea or a stormy mountain or even a lifeless desert. Nope. It's a valley, an area at the foot of a peaceful mountain where we can sit and envision a God of peace and love. We can sit quietly and regroup, and so many times in our lives we need to regroup. The psalmist continued describing death as a shadow. Now let's keep in mind that a shadow does not exist unless there is a light. There's a light for us, and it's cast on us. God is our only real source of light, and he is with us always, not just some of the time, not just when we are praying. He's with us all the time. I believe that part of this psalm, however, is read and skipped over somehow. It doesn't reflect as much as some of the other pieces. But let's think about this a minute. The walk is not a walk into the valley. It's not a walk in the valley. It's not even a walk around the valley. Nope. Instead, the journey is through the valley. And to me, that's the most powerful of all images. We find ourselves the promise that we are not alone. God carries us through all circumstances. The happy times, the times when we're feeling lost or alone, God's there with us. He doesn't abandon us, He doesn't leave us. I feel sure that Mickey knew this, and truly in her heart, she served her master because she knew he was right there. She sang for him. And I remember the hymns that we would sing, and you could follow her voice. It was so easy. She made it so easy for all of us. In speaking with Jenny, there was a common thread. As we spoke, she talked about strength. Her mom had amazing strength. And as I worked with her in the choir, you could see it. There were days when it was a little rougher than other days. She had the strength. She had the courage. And she knew that she could do it. Just persevere and move on. Jenny remembers that her mom was part of Brownies and Girl Scouts. She remembers being involved in both of those. Jenny and Russell, when they were little, enjoyed a trip to Disney. Jenny said it was a lot of fun. And I would imagine it was. Mickey made great outfits for the kids when they were little. And I remember I know that a couple of the pictures that you have were outfits that your mother made. Were so cute. Sorry about Jack that she had to match them. My girls used to hate that. They were close in age, and Mom, we weren't twins. No, you weren't. When birthdays came around, Mickey planned a theme party. There was always a theme party. Mickey would even dress up sometimes as a clown, if you can envision that. I wish I could have seen that. There were trips to see family in Iowa, Illinois. Mickey didn't drive until later in life. Her husband David tried to teach her, but it seemed there was this ditch that got in the way. And she said, no thanks, not gonna happen. So driving wasn't an option for a while. Mickey had a bachelor's degree in business administration and economics. And I told several people, I would have placed a bet on the fact that she was a music teacher. Or had music, was a member of an orchestra somewhere. It just seemed like that was what she was. She worked as a legal secretary, however. Her husband, David, had lost his job, got laid off, he worked in the coal mines, and Mickey picked up the slack. She gathered her strength and went to work full time, and pretty much kept the family going. Doesn't surprise me at all. She did that until she retired. When Mickey was somewhere in her 70s, Jenny wasn't quite sure. David wasn't well, and he said, Mickey, you need to learn how to drive. Well, we'd already tried that once, and she pretty much decided that wasn't going to happen. However, she gathered that strength up again, and she learned how to drive, and then bought herself a red car, and had a newfound independence. Mickey was very interested in Philadelphia, so she went to see what it was all about, all by herself. Took a trip, spent some time in Philadelphia to see what was going on there. what Chicago had to offer. I am absolutely positive that that time was fabulous, and the bonding moments were terrific. As I mentioned before, Mickey had a beautiful singing voice. She was a soprano, and she could make the birds sing along. Rick and I, my husband, had the privilege of being in choir after we joined Brentwood Christian Church, and she would hand us music, sheet music, and we didn't just pick up that hymnal and try and sing. Keep in mind the choir had 6, 7 members. None of us were professionals by any stretch of the imagination, and she would hand us these sheets of music, and she'd say, "You're the alto, you're the soprano, you're the bass." Okay. Some of us knew how to read music, but some of us didn't. She didn't care. She said, "I'll take care of it, don't you worry." And off we'd go. And believe it or not, on Sunday morning, somehow, people weren't walking out because the choir was bad. Mickey loved what she did. She loved being a part of the church. She loved being a part of her community. I remember her smiling and just being there and joining in. She had a great smile. And you know that there were some times when she wasn't feeling it, but by golly, she was there. And she was full in. She had a great life. Things were a little rough sometimes, but she made the best of it. She sewed the kids' clothes. She went to work every day, made sure that there was a house, food on the table, and the kids were well taken care of. Jenny said that her mom was also extremely supportive. Regardless of what was going on in their lives, her mom was there. If they needed her, she stepped up to the plate. And she did whatever it was that they needed. And that's so important. When you know that you have someone in your life that regardless of what the situation is, they're on your side and they have your back. And that was Mickey. I love the pictures that you showed where she's got grandkids on her lap, and I'm sure some of the pictures were pictures of Mom holding you guys. She was there. She loved you. She supported you when you needed it. And she was always, always happy to do it. I'd like to read a poem that really fits, I think, in this particular situation. I love this poem. It's called "The Rose Beyond the Wall." A rose once grew where all could see, sheltered beside a garden wall. And as the days passed swiftly by, it spread its branches, straight and tall. One day, a beam of light shone through a crevice that had opened wide. The rose bent gently toward the warmth, then passed beyond to the other side. Now you who deeply feel its loss, be comforted. The rose blooms there. It's beautiful, even greater now, nurtured by God's own loving care. It's hard to imagine what you're going to do now. Where are you going to go from here? You're going to miss her for sure. Absolutely. Claim her memory. As I said before, they're a gift from God. the gentleman looked at the doctor and he said, I'm scared, I don't know what to do. He said, you're a Christian man. I know that you go to church and that you believe in God. What's heaven like? What do I have to look forward to? About that time, you get your scratching on the office door. And the doctor walked over and opened the door, and a puppy jumped in the office, jumped on the doctor's legs, wagging its tail and just going crazy like a puppy will do. And the doctor looked at his patient and he said, you see this puppy? This puppy has never been in this office before, ever, never been past that door. And yet, when I opened that door, he jumped right in because he knew that his master was right there, ready to love him with all his heart. Friends, your master is on the other side of that door, ready for you. Preparations have been made for you. He is ready to accept you into the kingdom for an eternity with love, compassion, and an opportunity to sit in that peaceful place and just take a breath and take in what he has to offer. Would you bow your heads with me, please? Oh God, we thank you for the light of your Son and the way that light has shone through the love and strength of our beloved Mickey. Amen. May God bless you and keep you, and make his face to shine upon you and give you peace now and forever. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Friends, this concludes our services today. On behalf of the family, thank you for being here. They invite everyone immediately following to Armstrong's. And before leaving, we're going to play Amazing Grace for Mrs. Campbell's love of music. So just give me a second and we're going to play it, and I'll dismiss everybody.